Hey, it's Chris here. In this video, I want to talk about some things I've been wondering and thinking about with this upcoming big, beautiful bill, the budget that the Republican are putting forward. Particularly when you talk about social safety net cuts like the Medicaid, um, the food stamps, thinking about inevitable cuts that will come to Medicare, and a lot of my thoughts, I should say, surround the idea that a lot of times you have these people with these academic philosophical ideas of economics and budgets and how things are supposed to work. These people on talk radio shows, conservative or progressive, if we do this or we do that, everything's going to be wonderful. Everybody's trying to build, whether it's a conservative utopia, a progressive utopia, trying to make this beautiful world out of our place here in the world, in the United States. But utopia isn't to be found in a fallen world, imperfect world. And every action that we take has consequences. And I think that unraveling too quickly things that are already long established are going to have a lot of unintended negative consequences that Republicans really haven't thought of because they're so confident in some of their ideas. They are in this echo chamber, and I'm not just saying they're the only ones. I think a lot of progressives are in echo chambers too, near as I can say. And when I see them both just in these echo chambers about these philosophies of existence in the world that don't always work out in real life. They don't always, they fall short. Let me put it that way. And so I wonder how things could go wrong with $880 billion cuts to Medicaid, or cutting the food assistance program, or other things that might come up. I find it interesting that they're talking about getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse, so that nobody's going to be hurt. They're only going to take care of the fraud, waste, and abuse. But the interesting thing to me is this. They had Elon Musk and Doge coming in saying they were going to get $2 trillion of fraud, waste, and abuse. And then it was $1 trillion. And at the end of the day, they're talking about 160 billion. And there's dispute over whether those numbers are even accurate. That those IGs that were all fired were essentially right, that there's only about 1% of any budget in an agency that's fraud, waste, and abuse. And so they haven't found all this, and yet they're saying that they're going to cut $880 billion of fraud, waste, and abuse out of the Medicaid budget that they couldn't find when Doge was tearing through everything. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to have these steep cuts, especially when we have an economy with all the tariffs and all these things that could really easily plunge into a recession. What that means is more people will need a safety net. More people will need food stamps. More people will need Medicaid. And so I'm really just thinking, what's going to happen when all these cuts are going on, just as the economy is in a place where more and more people need help. And then I think about all these work requirements and everything like that. Great, work or volunteer. But what if you're living in a rural area where there's not that many places to volunteer, and there's not really that many places to work and find jobs? And so that requires people to move, to relocate. And some people just don't have the financial resources to do that. So are we going to help people move and relocate to where there's more work? Are they going to maybe working poor? Many people, at least in the area of the country that I am, the Mississippi Delta, many these poor people have the only thing they have is any value is the land that their family owns. And Are they going to leave that behind to sell it for virtually nothing to go get a job somewhere? And I think that's just really complicated for people's lives. Then I think about cuts the other way. So are they going to cut reimbursements to nursing homes, to rural hospitals? Are we going to see more hospitals and nursing homes close their door? And that's going to throw a lot of nurses like me that work in rural areas. All of a sudden, there'll be lack of opportunity. So is there going to be a drain of healthcare services out of these rural areas because of these Medicaid cuts? And I think that these are questions that a lot of people need to ask. Well, I mean, what is going to be the real impact of all these cuts? What's really going to be happening in people's lives? How are they going to experience these Medicaid cuts? And is it going to spread? Is it going to be like a virus that spreads where there's less food stamp money and the local grocery store in a small town all of a sudden sees a 10% decrease in their business, and their margins are already small now. And so all of a sudden these grocery stores can't make a run of it because there's not that money coming in and food assistance for the poor. And then there are people that work in healthcare and other things are going to lose their jobs because of, because hospitals are closing. So that's going to further affect the economy. So that's going to affect other businesses. I think it's just not a conversation people really want to have of how much woven into our society and the economic well-being of our society these social safety net programs are. And I really think that we need to work on talking about this more and discussing it more before we start making any kind of drastic cuts. Anyway, those are just my meager thoughts. Love to hear what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and I'll talk to you later.